How to train in practice. When I notice that one of my children starts to act as if everything he receives is an obligation, I don't let it go. I take that moment and turn it into a life lesson. I call to the corner, look him in the eye, and say, "Son, you know that your mother and I work hard. Nothing we have fell from the sky. God gave us health, strength, intelligence, and we worked with dedication. What you have today, bed, clothes, food, internet, education, is the result of that effort. And what we give you, we give out of love, not out of obligation." And complete. You don't have the right to everything, but you have access to a lot because of the grace that dwells in us. The language is simple, but the impact is profound. Over time, they learn to value, to be grateful, not to demand. And even more, they learn to put themselves in other people's shoes. When a child understands that everything is present, he starts to be more generous with his siblings, more respectful with his parents, more honest with his friends. He becomes more like Jesus. Now, if the child grows up thinking that everything is an obligation, they become someone who lives frustrated because no one will be able to satisfy a heart that thinks it deserves everything. This type of person lives in conflict, in demands, in constant dissatisfaction. Teaching is more than explaining, it's living. Of course, talking is important, but living is essential. You, father, need to set an example. There's no point demanding gratitude from your child if you're always complaining about everything, if you don't recognize your wife's efforts, if you murmur against God. The first person who needs to have a grateful heart at home is you. Show gratitude in everything. Thank your wife for dinner. Thank your children when they obey you. Thank God out loud for health, for work, for salvation. Your children are listening, and they learn more from what you live than from what you say. Practical task for parents. The responsibility conversation. Now is the time for you to act. I'm going to give you a simple but powerful task, one that can completely change your child's mindset. Task. Call your child for a responsibility talk. Sit down with him, open the household bills. It can be in outline without too many details. Show him how much you and your wife earn, how much you spend on electricity, water, food, rent, school, internet, clothes. And then say firmly but with affection, everything you have here is not automatic. It is the result of work, renunciation, choice, and above all, it is present. It is grace. After this conversation, ask him to write a letter of gratitude to you, the parents. It doesn't need to be beautiful nor full of difficult words. What matters is that you are sincere. A sheet of notebook paper with simple and true words is enough. Keep this letter. It will be a milestone in your child's life and in yours too. You will see how this small attitude can generate a new sense of responsibility and honor in your child's heart. It will open his eyes to reality, and it will free you from the demand mentality. If you want, share this moment with me. Post a photo of the letter or comment about the experience on social media. Tag me. It will be an honor to walk with you in this purpose. Together, we are training a generation of children who are grateful, mature, and prepared to conquer the world without being its slaves. Gratitude generates spiritual access and strong emotions. Training strong children is a life project. And in this process, I learned that a grateful heart is one of the greatest treasures we can develop in our children. Gratitude isn't just education, it's access, it's a spiritual key. It is an unlocker of blessings, maturity, and emotional balance. It is no exaggeration to say that gratitude changes everything. I learned that gratitude is one of the first virtues that should be taught at home. And the sooner the better. Grateful son becomes a strong adult. Grateful children learn to see what they have instead of focusing on what they lack. Grateful child becomes sensitive to the presence of God. No wonder Psalm 104 says, "Enter into his gates with gratitude and into his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and bless his name." In other words, gratitude is the passport to enter the spiritual environment where God manifests himself, and parents who do not train their children in this are leaving them out of the presence, both of God and of men. Gratitude generates access. Ingratitude generates blockage. This is true in heaven and it is true in life. Gratitude is a decision, not emotion. One of the biggest lies the modern world tells is that people should only show gratitude when they feel gratitude. But this is a mistake. Gratitude is not emotion, it is decision. Just because your child wants something doesn't mean they're automatically going to be grateful. He needs to be trained. We need to teach that even in difficult times, there are reasons to be grateful. That even when he doesn't have a new toy, branded clothes, vacation trip, or latest generation cell phone, he still has access to the presence of God, the love of his parents, and life. And that's enough. Training gratitude means insisting on this principle until it becomes part of your character. It's about repeating, teaching, correcting, modeling, and praying with them until gratitude becomes natural. And this only happens with constant practice. Gratitude is a cure for wounded emotions. How many children and adolescents are growing up emotionally fragile, insecure, anxious, and sad? Many. And do you know why? Because they are trained to complain, not to be grateful. Gratitude aligns the soul, heals emotional wounds. When the heart learns to see reasons to be grateful, it becomes stronger. The brain begins to operate in another pattern, and the spirit opens to the presence of God. Gratitude teaches that even pain can be a place for learning, that even mourning can be marked by honor, that even scarcity can be an opportunity to see God's care. This trains strong, resilient, spiritually connected children. How to train gratitude in practice. Now let's move on to the practical field, because theory without practice is an illusion. The first thing is take specific time with your child to cultivate gratitude. I usually call this cult of gratitude. Once a week, it can be at home, in the bedroom, in the living room, even in the laundry area. The place doesn't matter, the heart matters. At this point, don't ask for anything. No prayers asking for blessings, cures, solutions. Just be grateful, just praise, just acknowledge it. Teach your child to be grateful for simple things. Thank you, Lord, for my father. Thank you for the food today. Thank you because we have a house. Thank you for the school. Thank you because the Lord loves me. Then you ask me, Pastor, what if my son doesn't want to pray? No problem. You start. Be an example. He will follow your model. Gratitude is contagious when lived truthfully. If you want, create a special environment. Turn off the lights, light a candle, add soft praise, read a psalm together, like 103 or 136. Then close your eyes and start giving thanks. This moment will become a highlight of your week. It will become a family altar, a place of encounter with God and emotional strengthening. Gratitude removes the spirit of rejection. Children who always murmur become teenagers and adults with wounds of rejection. They don't recognize the value of what they have. They think the world owes them something, and they end up growing up as victims. Gratitude removes this spirit. It teaches that no one owes anything to anyone. It teaches that everything is a gift, not an obligation. It teaches that God is good, even when everything is difficult. A child trained in gratitude knows how to recognize the value of their parents. He honors the effort. He doesn't demand it. He thanks it. It transforms the soul, and that transforms the future. Gratitude opens doors in life and spirit. Grateful children have opened doors in life because grateful people are pleasant. Grateful people carry honor. Grateful people recognize the efforts of others. And for this reason, grateful people are remembered, valued, promoted, and more. Grateful children have opened doors with God. They pray with faith, enter the presence with joy, recognize the Father's actions, and God is pleased with this. If you want to train your child to be a well-rounded adult, emotionally strong and spiritually sensitive, start now. Train him in gratitude every week with intentionality, with faith. Practical task, cult of gratitude. Now comes the practical part. I want to give you a challenge that can change the atmosphere in your home. Challenge of the week, cult of gratitude. Choose a fixed day of the week to do the cult of gratitude with your child. It could be every Friday or every Sunday, for example. Set aside 15 to 30 minutes. No distractions. Cell phone on silent, television off. Create a special environment. If you want, light a candle, sing a quiet song, and read a psalm. Nothing to ask. Just be grateful. Teach your child to do the same. Start off yourself and ask him to name at least 3 things he is grateful for. Write it down or record it. It can be in a notebook or even on audio. This helps to remember, reinforce, and value. A child who learns gratitude does not get lost along the way, because gratitude is a compass, it's an anchor, it's a shield, it is the mirror of the presence of God. My desire as a father, pastor, and coach of children is that this practice becomes culture in your home, because training grateful children is investing in the future with spiritual and emotional intelligence. Don't outsource this to school, church, or the internet. The responsibility is ours, parents. And it all starts with a simple choice. Stop to be grateful. Now it's up to you. Let's train strong children. A word to parents. The end is just the beginning. If you've made it this far, I want to congratulate you. I really do. But it's not just because I read an entire book. It's because you positioned yourself as an intentional father, a real man, that you decided don't be passive in the greatest mission of your life. Train strong children with purpose and identity in God. Most men flee this calling. You don't. You decided to get up. And if you got up, you've already started winning. I did not write this book from within a theoretical bubble. I wrote from the experience of a man who has already faced war inside and outside his home. I have been in the military for years, a pastor, married to the same woman for more than 2 decades, and father of 3 children who challenge me, teach me, and shape me every day. I'm not perfect, but I'm constant. And I can tell you with certainty, it pays to train children God's way. In this book, I shared with you the pillars that have supported my journey into fatherhood. Pillars that were not just learned in books, but in real life, with tears, prayer, discipline, forgiveness, and faith. Now, let me make one last request. Don't stop here. This book is just the beginning. Everything you learned needs to be practiced. Each chapter came with a simple and practical task, and I pray that you did each one with your child, with constancy, with love, and with faith. Transformation starts in the details. Father, if you don't give up, God will not fail. You were chosen by God to lead your home, not by chance, but by purpose. You are the prophetic voice within your home. When you position yourself, the spiritual world aligns. When you pray, the sky moves. When you train your children in the path, you are writing the future of your generation with your own hands. Even when no one recognizes it, God sees. Even when it seems like your children aren't listening, the seed is being planted. Continue watering with love, faith, limits, forgiveness, presence, and prayer. You are not just any father. You are a coach of champions. You are a warrior of the kingdom. You are God's answer to your home. Raise your head, shake off the dust, go back to the field. Heaven is counting on you, and your children too. I have the final task for you. This is it. Final task, multiplication. Share what transformed you. Everything that is powerful and true needs to be multiplied. Don't keep this content to yourself. If this book has blessed you in any way, a sentence, a task, a shift in mindset, share with other parents who need this. Post a photo, a short video, or a text on your social media and tag me too. I want to see you putting it into practice. Tell me which chapter impacted you the most. Recommend this book to at least 3 friends who are parents. It can be in person or via social media. You could be the answer to another parent's prayer. Remember, we are not alone on this journey. We are a generation of parents rising up as priests of the home, spiritual warriors, trainers of leaders, trainers of children who will live God's purpose. Your home could be the next to become an example of family revival. And if one day you feel tired, insecure, or even fail, remember, God didn't call you to be perfect. He called you to be present, willing, sensitive to the voice of the Spirit, firm in principles and full of faith. God has given you authority, grace, and direction. He gave you the word. He gave you this book. Now He is calling you to apply, to practice, and to share. The mission of training strong children is in your hands. And I follow you on this journey, praying, believing, and hoping to see many testimonies emerging from this content. When you share, you strengthen others. When you take a stand, you inspire a generation. And when a father stands up, hell recedes and heaven advances in family. See you on the networks. And we find ourselves in the next pages that God will still write through your house.